Hello, everybody. My name is Stanley Bear Thunderheart. Of course, you all know me by now as Bear. And this evening here, I'm right here in my office here at the moment. I'm just made a stop by to take care of some business, and I'm still here at the office where I work at and do my healing work. Well, tonight, I basically want to talk to you about the various matters that has been, I would say, plaguing our world at this point. And no, I'm not just talking about just COVID-19, even though that has been well, one of the part of the hot topics. But what's really been going on now, really, is all because of all the other things that are going on. So, regarding the riots and various other things too. Now, I've actually spoke very little about that in my last videos, but I'm going to speak more about it tonight in that sense. So, basically tonight, I'll be talking about Black Lives Matter / Antifa, corrupt, tyrannical, democratic politicians, Detoxing the Police, and Love and Light Psyop with Bear. And so basically what I want to talk to you about is all the different things that are going on, and I want to touch base upon various groups of people. In regards to the movements that have gone on for the last several years and things like that. So I would like to start with the Black Lives Matter movement, or so-called movement, or organization. Let's just say it like this. Of course, the founders, actually it's been founded July 13th, 2013, due to the fact of a response to various black, men or black males were killed by white cops, or at least, or white and mixture of white or mix of Hispanic cops throughout the years of 2015 and 2014 and even before, from Trayvon Martin and various other things, Freddie Gray. But here's the problem, though. The problem about it was that there are some of them that were actual criminals that actually committed crimes against their own people and things like that. And then there are those who are just at the wrong place at the wrong time and got into some conflicts with police or security guards and things like that. So, as a response to it, the founders, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tomati, founded this movement called Black Lives Matter because, too many of the males were getting killed by police, whether it's through corrupt police killing of black people, black men, or black criminals being belligerent and getting themselves shot from the police. But any which way, though, many of them are getting killed. More and more so during the Obama administration, when Barack Hussein Obama was around. I'm going to talk to you about him in a bit, too. Actually, after a while. Because he has a lot to do with what's going on now. So, in any event, this movement, Black Lives Matter, have actually been there since, like I said, July 13, 2013. So, it's been there around for 7 years now. And one of the key, like I said, it was supposed to be a response against police brutality. Now, one of the key things that they like to say is, they're peaceful, they're trying to solve problems and everything else too. Well, here's a little bit of an issue. I have a bit of an issue with that. See, Black Lives Matter, first of all, even though they were founded, I would say funded in a bit too, but founded by 3 black women. Like I said, 3 black women that were black. However, those 3 black women, they're all, first of all, feminists. And I'll get to that in a minute. They're all feminists, meaning they're all basically for women's rights in the feminine movement. But what I mean by feminists, that kind of concept of feminist wasn't really a black women thing. It was more of white American women kind of deal. It was just that the black women later on became feminists and joined the feminists, and then that's when, various families, black families, and various other things started falling apart. It doesn't matter what religion. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, Muslim, Islam, Ifa, whatever the case. The bottom line is, these black women were not the founder of the feminist movement. The white women were. They just happened to join the white women's movement afterwards. And on top of that, too, one of them is a lesbian activist, Patrice Cullors. Now, she's lesbian, too, so in that retrospect, too, with this movement, not only were these women feminists, right, But one of them is gay, so when you have a gay person that's involved in an organization, guess what else happens? They bring in their people along, right? And they bring in their people. The LGBT community also becomes got mixed into it. Feminists got mixed into it, so does the LGBT got mixed into it. Now, another thing that all three of them have in common too is that they're also Marxists, meaning that they're into socialism, and even get to a point where it can become communist as well. You see, they're all trained Marxists as well. They've been training themselves to become Marxists, and then they're also trying to teach other blacks and other people to become Marxists as well, so that the movement can definitely be the way that the Democratic Party wanted it to be. Oh yes, that's where it was funded by the way, it was funded by the Democratic Party, but mostly by the man of George Soros, who first of all is not even American. He's not even from here. And not to mention he's a Democratic elitist who basically funded his party to basically create a division, so to speak, among blacks and whites. But not only that, there was also a controlled opposition against the Republicans, but there's also a controlled opposition against the police officers who may or may not be siding with their agenda, meaning the agenda of the Democratic Party, which is actually another party for the Freemasons. And the very same party, by the way, that funded the Black Lives Matter movement were also the very same party that were actually in charge of slavery back in the day. They're the ones who were actually in charge of slavery, but they want to pinpoint it and make it look like it's the Republicans who are the slave masters. And there's no. The slave masters were definitely the Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, since they are the branch of the Freemasons and everything, the Democratic Party and the Freemasons started the Ku Klux Klan in 1865 as attack dogs. They actually formed a Ku Klux Klan so the Ku Klux Klan could become an attack dogs for the Democratic Party and the Freemasonry. The Freemasonry that is corrupt, that Albert Pike and all of them started. You see? So 1865 was when the Democratic Party founded the Ku Klux Klan, And so, so these very people are creating oppositions so they can create more control. And that's where the Antifa comes. You see, Antifa is just a branch of Ku Klux Klan. It's just the fact that Black Lives Matter, black-owned, not black-owned, basically run by black women who are feminists, Marxists, and, one of them being gay. And then the other one is basically racist, Nazism, that kind of deal too, because they got Nazi swastikas on their colors and their shirts and their jackets and everything else too. And those Antifa members were the ones that started and were burning down buildings. They're the ones who created the riots. They're the ones who instigated the riots by having corrupt police, putting bricks on the ground and things like that. They've been caught on tape. They've been caught on phones. So I don't want to hear people coming up and telling me that I'm just being a conspiracy theorist. No, it's a conspiracy reality. Because in reality, they're proven facts. But for that to happen, though, they had to conspire. They had to conspire to create the riots from Minnesota, especially, of course, the latest incident with George Floyd getting killed by a cop who had his knee on his neck. Well, actually, it wasn't even on his neck per se. It was actually on the top of the groove area, where the neck and basically. See, basically, if he really had the knee on the neck, basically really on top of the neck and really hard and really was choking him, you would not have heard him says, "I can't breathe," or cry to his mom or whatever the case. You would not have heard him breathe. So I really find that suspect that perhaps the guy is not even really dead. And on top of that, here's another funny thing. Now, even if he did die, and even if he got killed, it was a sacrifice to create something of a riot, to create, more diversion. Because what's been going on too for the last few months, there have been many mass arrests that Donald Trump and various other people have made with certain celebrities, within certain politicians like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and George Soros and various other people like that, because these people in deep state are trying to run the planet, trying to rule the world with tyranny, mandated vaccinations, try to hook us up with artificial intelligence, all kinds of other stuff. So what they've been doing is they've been summoned to court, they've been getting arrested, and then they even try to create this, try to bring this General Flynn, this particular guy, General Flynn, try to frame him. He was exonerated, and then the gag order just got lifted. So now this general is now they're gonna be planning to really go after these people in the deep state. And that's what theirs is about. And so these people are creating riots and so forth, not only to distract people, but create riots to cause more harm because they're in trouble. They are trying to hold off going to court. They're trying to escape. They're desperate right now, and that's why they created Black Lives Matter. But he created Black Lives Matter, George Soros, to control opposition. But now what they did was they set off Antifa to create the riots, and then now they're trying to create. Now they send out Black Lives Matter to go around and saying, hey, this is injustice. You cops are killing us. Cops are killing black men and blah, 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 blah. All this stuff, which has been happening. But at the same time, the way it's been going about it, they're trying to make it look like they're fighting for black rights. But like I said, I have an issue with that too. And I'm going to get to it, like I said, in a minute. And now they got various white people joining into the cause, Hispanics and various other people joining the cause because they believe that they're fighting for a just cause. But what they don't understand is that, for one thing, even though it may be founded by black women, right, these black women have certain agendas. And so do these other people that are behind funding it. See, who basically George Soros and the Democratic Party, and I'm sure Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and them too, funded this movement, as well as Antifa. They funded both sides, basically. And so both sides are getting paid to do what they're doing. And not to mention that to create havoc within all the cities that are Democratic, or basically the states and the cities that are run by Democratic governors or Democratic mayors and so forth. Those are the ones that are happening to right now. Yet, do you really hear all that happening within the Republican states, within Republican cities? No. And I'll explain to you why. Because what's been going on too is that these Democrats are desperate and they want to make the fool out of Donald Trump. They didn't expect him to win. They expected Hillary to win. And so now what they're trying to do is they're trying to destroy the country. They're trying to bring Donald Trump down. They're trying to bring America down. They want to run in this world in any way, shape possible, and they are desperate. That's what's been going on. So with that being said, that's why the Black Lives Matter movement has just been going crazy all over the country, and so is Antifa. And even President Trump recently said, which didn't really need to hear him say that, but I'm glad he said it, was that Antifa is considered a terrorist group. And so at some point, what's going to have to happen is that the military or we need to rise up to fight off these terrorists, because exactly what they are. And guess what? Black Lives Matter are terrorists too, just like Antifa are. I'm sorry, just because they're blacks and everything else too, doesn't necessarily make it less terrorist than ISIS or Al-Qaeda. And by the way, Democrats and Barack Obama also helped create ISIS. Created a bunch of other terrorist groups to try to create havoc in the world so they can run the world. Problem, reaction, solution is what it is. You see? And so, with that being said, they really want to, they're being so tyrannical in their own way. But let me get back to Black Lives Matter for a second, because I'm jumping ahead here. So Black Lives Matter basically was supposed to be for black people, was supposed to be for black lives, right? But yet, here's one I have an issue. I don't have any issues too much with women who want to be strong as feminists, or so whether all depends on what kind of feminists we're talking about here, and the LGBTQ community. But here's the thing. The feminists are number one. LGBTQ are the second as far as priority, and you got black folks at the bottom. So wait a minute, wait. You're telling me that all this stuff is going on that started with one lesbian, and then all of the Marxists, socialists, all the three women are feminists, and then so everything else starts having priority from Marxists, socialists, and all them stuff. Then black struggles are the last. Wait a minute. I thought it was supposed to be Black Lives Matter. I thought this was supposed to be a struggle for black people. Why are all these other groups of people take priority on top of something that you're trying to start? You know why? Because that's not what Black Lives Matter was supposed to really be about. You see, let me tell you something. And I'm like I said, I'm generalizing here today because there are just certain things that should happen a certain way. Like for instance, if you're going to have a Black Lives organization or a black organization or some kind of minority organization, then it should be started from as a person that actually is a minority or actually is a person. So if we want to have a Mexican collusion or Mexican organization that helps, Mexicans stop being harassed by lawmakers or whatever the case, then it needs to be founded from a Mexican man from the grassroots on. They want to make it sound like Black Lives Matter are grassroots. No, they're not grassroots. They're funded from an elite multi-billionaire, George Soros. So it's not a grassroots. So that's wrong right there. It's not a grassroots movement. Second of all, because it is funded from a white man from another country, it's not. Even though they may have found, black women, 3 black women may have found the organization, it was funded from another white man. So if it's not basically funded or start grassroots from that are black owned, that means if it's not funded from them themselves, then it's not black owned. For one thing, excuse me, it is not black owned. So for them to say that this is a grassroots movement, that's wrong. That's incorrect. No, it is a psyop, is what it is. A psyop that is controlled opposition that George Soros created, and not to mention the fact that the Marxists of the 3 black women who are feminist, one of them being gay, LGBTQ, and then Marxists, and then the black people are last. So don't come and tell me that Black Lives Matter really matters if everything else takes forward before what is really supposed to be, for one thing. So I just want to clarify that. Now, in regards to, let me see. Oh yeah, in regards to all the stuff that's been going on regarding Antifa and things like that. Like I said, they've all been funded, they've all been paid, and at the same time, what's been going on too is that they haven't been paid as much because supposedly their funds, meaning that George Soros's and various other people's funds of the elites, had got frozen from Donald Trump and various other powers that are and things like that. You see, there are control oppositions, and then there are actual opposition. There's an actual opposition in the world that against these deep state. There's control opposition, yes, of the deep state. There's 2 oppositions that are controlled, yes, and then outside of that, there's a real opposition, and I'll get to that later. But there's real opposition that's going against the deep state. And so with that being said, you got, like I said, various people who are being arrested from various celebrities, Hollywood, CIA and Hollywood go hand in hand, various people within the FBI. There is just so much that are going on right now, which is one of the reasons why the series is getting turned out. And then President Trump is even telling these people, or the mayors and the governors who are Democrats who are running certain cities, to say, look, if you ask, ask for help from the National Guard. I'll send you the National Guard. Ask for help, and they're not doing that. So I don't know how long this is going to take, but I have a feeling at some point Donald Trump's going to have enough, and he's going to do something. He's going to say he may or may not. He may send the military, and I think he's going to have to send the military, or someone's going to make some mistake that's going to trigger the whole thing, and then it's going to be, lights out. It's going to be really time for something to happen. It even got to a point where Black Lives Matter and Antifa are both getting violent with people that don't agree with them. They want people to be censored. People have lost their jobs because of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, because people will say something against them. And they've lost businesses because people were burned, rioters and looters burned the buildings down and all this. This is where all this is all about, because of some guy that got killed, as far as, with the police, with the knee on the neck, was more or less, like I said, on the groove of the head rather than the neck. Like I said, And so, yeah, and it was all called, of course, this was done on purpose. And not to mention, too, the same thing was done in other countries as well, not just here in America with the cop and the knee and all that. All that was reenacted. In other words, this was acting, this was actors, this was a reenactment of all the things, because the cops in other countries, like Spain and various other countries, did the exact same freaking thing, is what they did. They did the exact same freaking thing. So don't tell me that this was not a psyop, because it was. Well, otherwise, why would I reenact the same thing? I mean, these elites really think that the majority of the people are stupid, and in a sense, I can't blame them, because many of the times people are not awake. They don't read the lines. They don't read between the lines. They don't connect the dots well, meaning the majority of the people who are still asleep. Now, those who are awake, good. I'm not talking to you. And if anything, I commend you for waking up, because we need to definitely see what's really going on and call upon it and put an end to this, because the only way this will stop is when we rise up more and more and more and awaken more. That's why these deep state folks are desperate the way they are. Hold on, hold on, my throat's kind of getting dry here. Drink some water here. Some real lemon water here. All right. So, with that being said, like I said before, they're getting desperate with all these different things, and then now what they're trying to do is now they're trying to, play the police for all the crimes. So basically, they're trying to paint this picture now, this narrative that, all police must go because all police are violent, all police are doing this. But wait a minute, the police that were doing the corrupt stuff are part of the Freemasons and are part of the Ku Klux Klan. Those, and plus you got Ku Klux Klan and the CIA, you also got members of Ku Klux Klan and the FBI, NSA, Department of Justice. So all these different organizations have been infiltrated already. That's what's really going on. So it's not your average police that you see on the streets every day that are doing this stuff. It's usually those within the Masonic order that's actually doing it, or Ku Klux Klan and things like that. As far as the police are concerned. So what needs to happen with the police, rather than trying to defund the police, because now everybody's crying out, let's get rid of police altogether, let's get rid of police altogether, let's get rid of police altogether. First of all, defunding the police or getting rid of the police altogether is not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem, because by only defunding the police or getting rid of the police, guess who will be able to afford protection? The elites, the rich, will be able to only afford the protection, and everyone else will have to fend for themselves. But that's not even the real main problem with all this. See, the main problem with all this, too, that I've foreseen, and I have already been seeing it for quite some time, is that they want they want to get rid of police because they know that not all police officers are going to cooperate with what the stuff that the legislators are doing, because they know that many of them have their own minds. So what they want is that they want people that they want to control. They want to be able to control their own people to do everything they say. So they want to have either private security, or even more so yet, they want to have people that they want to control who are like Borg type, or like machines. Basically, they want humans to either be cyborgs, or they want people to be, so they want to have robots and things like that to replace the police. I mean, I've been saying this for quite some time. A lot of people don't know this, but they've already been building up robots, in China to replace workers in China. There are certain companies that are run by robots alone, or androids or stuff like that in China. See, now America and these elites are trying to do the same thing, because they can't trust the useless eaters, as they like to look at us as such. They like to look at you and I as useless eaters. So it's getting to that point where they're like, they want to also replace the police. They want to get rid of all the police. And then you got Black Lives Matter and various other people who are shouting, defund the police and all this other stuff. And the thing about it was with police is that, let me put it like this. Yeah, there are great cops out there and everything, but at the same time, I won't be honest with you. And I did say, and I did thank some of the good cops for doing their jobs and everything. As I really thought about it really deeply, we don't need to defund the police, but we do need to detox the police. What I mean by detoxing the police, meaning that we need to clean out a lot of the stuff. We need to clean out the department. We need to get rid of all the police that were around. Because let me put it to you this way: with all the police that were around, there are police that knew, and even the captains and all that, they knew that there were some corrupt people on the force. So the fact that so many of you all knew that you had bad apples on the force, then that makes you part of the crime. That makes you part of the corruption, and you're accessory to it. I mean, well, you're part of the crime, basically. And the thing about it is you're complacent. This is a part of complacency that needs to be cleaned out of the police force. So definitely we need to have reform for the police. President Trump is right. Police reform needs to really happen. It really needs to happen, because the truth of the matter is, if we don't get this thing under control with the police, then it's going to really get to a point where many people will really want to defund the police. But not everyone wants to defund the police or the sheriffs or the state police and different things like that. So you see, the thing about what police need to realize, remember, they need to realize that they are of service. They're here to serve. They're here to enforce. But what they've been doing, many of them are just doing exactly like, especially the democratic cities and states, are doing exactly what the governors and mayors are doing. Do not fight back. Pull back from the rioters. And many of these rioters are attacking the police. They're getting violent towards the police. Many of them have been injured. Many of them almost died. And on top of that, here's another stupidity of it. You want to hear this? All the rioting, the fighting, and everything. There have people that have gotten killed in all of this stuff. And from, like I said, with Black Lives Matter to Antifa and various other patriots who are fighting back and things like that. So there have been some bloodshed already been shed. There are people already dying in the streets. And look what's going on. Now they're bringing in National Guard. And this has been said earlier, and this is going to be proven at the bottom right here. I'm going to be proving certain things at the bottom. One of the key things that's been happening, especially in New York, that they're taking in dead bodies with people with bullet wounds and everything else too. And guess what they're doing? These people in the hospitals and all that, they're basically passing these dead bodies that happened in violent acts and so forth as COVID-19 death patients. Can you believe that? The media so if you're really hearing about the media saying, well, the cause of the virus is starting to rise up, or the deaths of the people are rising up, it's because, for one thing, they're collecting the bodies, fudging the numbers, and saying that these people are dead of COVID-19, which is bullshit. That's bullshit. The thing about it is that these people were dying of violent acts in the streets that they were pulling out. And they were doing like rioting, breaking windows down, burning buildings, and destroying people's businesses. I mean, these are the kind of stuff that's been going on, and yet this whole COVID-19 situation here, they're trying to increase the numbers more so than. I already have a suspicion about what the media has been doing for quite some time. A lot of people are saying, "Oh well, places are starting to rise up and everything." No, come on. If you feel something is right, if you smell a rat or whatever, it usually means you're right you're on the mark on something. But we have been taught by in our society not to trust yourself. Don't trust your instincts. People will think you're crazy if you start thinking other things that are not the narrative of what other people believe, and that's bullshit. And that's nonsense, and that needs to stop. We need to learn to trust our own intuition, to trust ourselves as the truth, because you really cannot trust the mainstream media to tell you the truth or anything like that, because right now they're aiding and abetting all the bullshit and all the crimes and so forth that the deep state and people are committing. They are really aiding and abetting, and they're really not telling you the truth. They're really trying to manipulate people by saying, "Oh, well, you guys gather together, then you're spreading the disease and stuff like that. Or if you're doing this, you're a part of the problem." No, they are part of the problem. They're the ones. They're trying to create something here. You understand? And put on your face mask. Keep your face mask on and all this other stuff, because they don't want you to have any breath. They don't want you to have any control. It basically is cultural social control. Is what they're doing. That's what they've been doing, and now it's starting to come out. But I've said this months ago, but it's now starting to come out now. So with that being said, so Black Lives Matter and Antifa are no better than Al Qaeda, than ISIS, and all these other people that are causing problems. The only difference with that is that Black Lives Matter and Antifa are here in our soil. These are domestic terrorists. Remember, domestic terrorism are just as bad, in fact worse, than the ones out there. See, all this time of going to Iraq and various other countries fighting terrorists and everything, what about here at home? What about here? Because I'm going to tell you this, all the stuff that's been going on with Black Lives Matter has caused a lot of problems in a lot of other places in our society. Like for instance, there's a place called Chaz in Seattle where though the police are no longer there, they kicked the police out. The mayor has even allowed the police to get kicked out. The mayor has allowed all these people to run buck wild, in a sense, to create another country called Chaz in Seattle, which is a 6-block radius or something like that. But here's the idea, and I'm going back to this now in regard to LGBTQ community, socialists, and everything else. See, what's all of this is going on is that these people are getting so out of hand that they are knocking on doors to people and charging people for their protection because there's no police around, so you're going to need us to protect you. And look what's going on. They're getting violent. They're getting very tyrannical with the people over there in Chaz. And on top of that, they're starting to beat people up that are not cooperating or not complying with them. They're not even kicking people out. They're just beating people up and keeping them there. And on top of that, they're even taking cell phones. They're taking their computers and everything else too, so they will not have access to the internet there. What does that tell you? Oh yeah, that kind of reminds you of a communist country, except way worse than that. Very tyrannical, very controlling. I mean, it's really anarchy in such a tyrannical manner. I mean, I know it kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but the point of the matter is that Chaz, this country called Chaz, that they try to create, first of all, they got no real plan for how they want to run the country. All they have right now have a good little garden, but what other economic plans do they have? What support do they have? What is their plan for the education? They don't have any of that. And that's the same thing, too. I'm going to ask Black Lives Matter. Since we're going to go there, Antifa, I'm not even going to be talking to y'all right now, because y'all need to go somewhere. Y'all need to be in jail or something, because Antifa, you've gone too far, and so does Black Lives Matter. But I'm going to basically talk to all you black folks out here, dark, meaning melanated folks who are either full melanated black or African or a mix of any other race like white, Hispanic, whatever, Native, anything like that. If you're part of the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm talking to you. If it doesn't apply to any of you people, any other people that's out there, then let it fly. If it doesn't apply, let it fly, as they say. So, I'm going to ask you guys I'm going to ask you some fair questions. Black Lives Matter, okay? And the fair questions are this. After all this is over and after you've accomplished your goal, whatever it is, first of all, what is your end goal really? Do you even know what your end goal is? Do you even care? I mean, I'm really involved in black people because you already have your end goal already with the feminists. You already have your end goal with the LGBTQ community and the socialists. So what is your end goal to really help black folks? What is your end goal? I mean, let me ask you this question. Are all the black on black crime going to cease once you get everything you need to get? Yeah, you heard me. Are the black on black crime going to cease? Is it going to stop? And the reason I'm asking you this is because, remember, when you were around still, and you were talking about, the cops kill our black men and everything else too, there was a lot of outrage. But yet, where was all this outrage of all the black on black crime that has happened for the last 20 or more years in our country? In inner cities, from Chicago, LA, all over the United States, black on black crimes has been really rampant, more so than cops killing our black guys, our black men, women, and so forth. So where is all this? So, I mean, seriously, black on black crime. Are you planning on solving that at some point? Or are you even going to planning on solving those who basically have created black on blacks to get you guys to fight each other? But I guess you probably won't, because it doesn't really fit the political power that it is. It doesn't really fit the agenda of the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party wants you guys to continue killing yourselves, and not to mention there's no profit, there's no power, there's no control of the black on black crime. So maybe that's why y'all are not addressing that. But I really think if you guys were really serious about Black Lives Matter, you would address something like that. Because let's be honest, many times in my life when I was growing up in San Diego, when I was growing up, there are cops that I've been harassed me and some friends of mine and so forth. And I've seen that, and I had that happen to me a few times. I mean, sure, I never got beat up or anything like that, but I was still harassed. And yet, I've seen so much violence and fighting and everything else too, to a point where there are times when I would walk the streets and everything, I would still be looking over my shoulder. And of course, there are many types of gangs, from Asian gangs and everything else too. So I was on the lookout for a lot of these things, a lot of these people like that. But at the same time, what I was really looking at the most were black young men who are out to fight and shoot people and things like that. See, I was actually more afraid of getting killed by another black man, but I was getting killed by police, for that matter. I mean, now, granted, like I said, I was afraid of, other Hispanic gangs, Asians, and things like that. But black men, people were the most fierce in the way it was. So I was actually afraid more of getting killed by another black man, than I was with police. So, like I said before, this has happened all over the country. And so black on black crime has happened all over the country. Where are you going to address that? Are you going to address that? Maybe not, because that's not your priority. That's not a list of your priority. That's Black Lives is way down there. So don't come and say, so then you need to just change that name, because in all honesty, if you're going to value a white cop that takes a life of another black man, but yet do not value other black men that have been taken out by other black men or women and so forth, then really, Black Lives really doesn't matter. Because obviously you're not making that as one of the, first of all, you didn't make black people as a priority over all the other things that you've had in your list. And second of all, you don't really address their issue with black on black crime. Only addressing the issue when a white cop kills a black man. If Black Lives really do matter, then first of all, then it should matter that Black Lives matter if everyone kills another black people or whatever. And black on black crime has been very prevalent. That should also be included in your plans. But it's not, because it doesn't fit your end goal. It doesn't fit the Democratic's end goal. It does not fit, your terrorism acts and everything else like that. Because you want total dominance and control, because you've been so suppressed for so long that now you want to go have the opposite direction. It's now you're just being tyrannical and anarchist. Okay? So that's what's been going on. As another question, too, I must ask, is what are your plans for your education for your children once this is all over? How are you going to educate your kids? What are your financial plans to help to elevate Black lives, to elevate black people? Because if Black Lives Matter, then you should also be able to elevate people to become more prosperous, become more abundant, wealthy and economically, satisfied and so forth. Where's that plan? Also, in regards to families, how are you guys going to start having families, get back together again? How are you going to work on people who are single mothers? How are you going to work on people who are drug addicts? How are you going to get them off of drugs if Black Lives Matter? If Black Lives Matter, how are you going to help, like I said, these single mothers, or help families raise their black children or raise their children if Black Lives Matter? Or even better yet, and I'm going to go there, better yet, are you going to help those who abort their own children? Do their lives matter? Or how about the children that have been gunned down by violence, or innocent people that have been gunned down by violence, teenagers, children, or babies who are aborted by other mothers that didn't want them? Do their lives matter? Do their lives matter? In my opinion, it definitely matters, especially children, for crying out loud. Their lives should definitely matter. I mean, nothing is so worse as a sin than having anything crime against a child like that, or against children in that way. Especially when they're still in the womb too, and then once the conception starts happening, then that's when life The free will and all that is already set in motion. It's just the growth needs to start happening. But when you kill a fetus, you're actually killing life. And yeah, a lot of people like to argue, oh, well, what about a woman's choice? So does a woman have a choice? No, hold on. What about the baby's choice? How about the baby's choice? How about the baby's will to live? And not only that, what about the father? What about the person who screwed her? What about the person who sperm donated to her in order to get pregnant to begin with? Does he not have a say? Now, granted, if he's one of those idiots out there that basically, doesn't want to take care of the kids and want to fuck around and all this other stuff and doesn't want to be a real man, doesn't want to be a real father to really raise his child or whatever, then fine. He has no say. But if he's going to be there and really wants to invest his energy and time in taking care of the baby or finding out what to do with the baby, he has got every right to say. I don't want to hear people telling me that a man, especially a man that participated in making this baby, has no say-so whether the baby gets aborted or not. I am so tired of people saying, oh, only the woman has a choice, but a man has no say-so. No, fuck that. It is sickening. I am so tired of it. I am tired of hearing that a man has no say-so. From this point forward, this shit stops. Okay? Men, we need to stand. I mean, especially alpha males. Alpha males will not put up with that. Will not take that lying down. No matter how strong the courts are, no matter how the law is on the woman's side or the feminist side or whatever the case. And that's what's been going on. The law has been going on the side of the feminists. The law has been going on the side of the LGBT community. And the law has been going on the side of socialists. But yet, black people are kind of left in the dust, so to speak. Especially black males, real black males. Because let me tell you something. A lot of the times when you see celebrities and other black males on TV, they are simply socially engineered type of black males. They're not real men that are out there. Real men are and basically they're too intimidating from the media, are too intimidated by alpha males. They're way too intimidated, especially black males, but just alpha males in general too, from whites, Asians. Doesn't matter. They don't want to see society see a real man. So that's why they like to manipulate the media, and they like to make it sound like, oh, if you're a real man, then you must be trouble. You need to be stopped and all this other stuff. No. So Black Lives Matter. Like I said before, the lives of the children do matter, and the lives of the black men that are in relationships matter too. But obviously, that's not your end goal. That's not what you're about. Because if you were really about that, a lot of those will be addressed. If you're about education, a lot of those will be addressed. All you're doing right now is having a temper tantrum, throwing a hissy fit, and burning buildings and doing all kinds of stuff, being terrorists to people, and getting angry at people that don't agree with your philosophy, that don't agree with your tactics, and don't agree with what you're doing. And as far as I'm concerned, you are a terrorist group, and you should be dealt with accordingly from President Trump and people in our nation. Patriots, we need to stand up of all kinds, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Native. We need to stand up and say, no, this is unacceptable. And as far as celebrities are concerned, these celebrities are not there for you. They're not going to be they're not with you black folks or anybody for that matter. They're here for the bottom line. They want what they want because they're losing their way of life. They're becoming non-essential, like I've said in my previous videos, and not to mention the fact that they're donating their monies so that they can stay relevant to the Black Lives Matter. It's not even a Black Lives Matter. It's about them still wanting to keep power to themselves. And so that's why they're funding Black Lives Matter so they can continue on to cause havoc around the country so eventually they can get their way. Because many of them are on house arrest right now with ankle monitors and things like that. See, and so with that being said, too, and I'm gonna tell you, let me tell you all something too, okay? As far as the people who are sending money, who may be very sympathetic towards Black lives and people with that, but you're sending it towards Black Lives Matter, let me advise you on something. Stop sending the money to Black Lives Matter, okay? Because at the end of the day, your money is not going to matter because your money is not even going to go to Black Lives Matter. It's going to the Democratic Party, people from Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. It's going to all these politicians, these corrupted, tyrannical Democratic politicians. That's where it's going. It's going to them. It is not going to the movement. Like I said, it's not a grassroots movement. It's a psyop. Stop supporting them. Because if you continue to support them financially, then then all this stuff grows. And if that stuff grows, then you're continuing to be part of the problem rather than the solution. So if you want to be part of the solution, stop sending them the funds. Eventually, they're going to run out of money. They're going to run out of power and everything. Stop sending the money to them. Because it's not going to go to them anyway. They're not grassroots. They're not for the people of any kind. They're not even for white people. And yet, some of you white people who are very sympathetic or fooled or naive, whichever you want to prefer, are out there following. And I mean, having Mitt Romney even surrendered to them and marching along. It's like, man, what a fool. Mitt Romney, give me a break. He's supposed to be a Republican run, right? Yeah, right. Not all Republicans are good either. As a matter of fact, that's another thing too, black people, you need to realize. You also need to stop voting Democrat. Because those Democrats haven't really done anything for you. Yeah, they may have created Black Lives Matter, but so what? Have you guys ever gone anywhere? Have you guys really gotten any good economic status? Have you guys really, has the black on black crime stopped? Has anything changed for the last 20 or so years? No. You guys are still in the same shit that your predecessors have been in, like your grandparents and so forth. The only difference was that during Jim Crow times, at least black people during Jim Crow times had some economic power. They had some status. They had their own clubs. They had their own music. They had a lot of other things on their own. What do we really have these days? What do y'all have these days? Nothing. And you're still going to end up being nothing if you continue to vote for the same goddamn people who enslaved your ancestors. They enslaved your own ancestors. They're the reasons why you guys are not going anywhere. But yet the reason why you're voting for them was because when basically they were bullied, the black people got bullied into start voting for Democrats when they sent the KKK out to burn buildings, to burn crosses on their lawn, to attack them violently and things like that. And you want to know why they did this? Because the Republican Party, believe it or not, your own ancestors started a Republican Party, not the whites. Majority of the Republican Party were started by the majority of black people in Texas in 1854 in Texas, of all places. Black folks started the Republican Party, or the Grand Old Party as they used to call it. So it was your own ancestors that started that party, but you guys won't even know about this. Why? Many other people in our society wouldn't know about it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because many of you black folks, Hispanics, natives, even whites too, of all things right now, especially in the millennials, especially in the metaphysical community, which I'm really going to talk to you guys last one. You guys are not out of the woods. You metaphysical new age community. I'm going to get you guys the last. But the thing about it is, many of y'all are just so retarded when it comes to politics, or exopolitics for that matter. Yes, I'm saying this. You guys are so retarded when it comes to politics because you guys don't know anything about politics. If you guys really know anything about politics and history and so forth and how things really work, you would have seen that. But you don't, because you guys are all into, mindless entertainment and all that other foolishness, which is nothing wrong with some entertainment. But what I'm saying here is that you guys don't really pay attention to all the real stuff that's going on in the world. That's the thing. You really don't. So with that being said, you're better off. And like I said, I used to be a Democrat growing up and all this other stuff until I started really waking up about certain other things in the world. And I was like, something's not right with this party, or any party for that matter, a Republican, that I felt at the time. So I decided that I'm not going to be a Democrat anymore. I left it many years ago, probably about near 20 or so years ago now, or so, that I've left the Democrat and stopped voting for Democrat, and then decided to just vote for whoever I feel is the right person for the job, basically. So I just kind of started claiming I'm independent just so I can just vote for whoever, basically. Not necessarily being a part of an independent party, but just as an independent person. you know. And so, with that being said, I left the Democratic Party, even though my grandmother used to believe and told me that the Democrats do more for the people and the Republicans only do more for the rich. And I used to believe her, but until I started learning other things and how things really work, and I'm like, well, they are for the rich, but they are for basically you being a capitalist, you raising yourself up, and you being empowered yourself to do something about it. You know, Republicans, they'll like say, you know what, get your ass up, get to work, and make something of yourself. Whether the Democratic Party, oh, no, you don't have to do that. We'll just give you something. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. Just stay in your lane. Just stay along. Just don't try to go anywhere that we don't want you to go. Come on. That is racism of itself, if anything. The Republicans at least want you to at least get off your ass and do something about it and work for yourself and make your dreams happen for yourself. That's what the Republicans will do. So if you want to start voting for a Republican at least. At least you'll get somewhere. At least you'll have a better chance in getting more jobs. At least you'll have a better chance in making something of yourselves. But you guys have been programmed for so long to vote Democrat for the very same people that keep on oppressing you, enslaving you on all many levels. It's time to break the chains, black people of America. Time to break the chains, at least the chains, and start being more freed up. Start definitely going out there and just know that you're meant for something better. You know, the definition for insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Are you guys not seeing it now? What I'm saying here, it's time to change something. Because what you're doing right now is not working. If Black Lives Matter isn't going to get you anywhere. Because, let's be honest, at the end of the day, what it all boils down to it, you're just pawns. If you're in the Black Lives Matter movement, you're all just pawns in a bigger game. And for all of you who are in the Black Lives Matter, if you guys participate in it, believe me, you're going to find after a while that being in the Black Lives Matter, your life really doesn't matter. Same thing, of course, goes to you, Antifa. So now, in regards to the tyrannical Democratic politicians, actually, before I go to them, I'm going to talk about the defunding the police more on this, or detoxing the police. Like I said before, detoxing the police, they should just fire them all, or at least fire the majority of them, or fire them all, and replace them with new people by screen testing them, make sure they're good, they're right in their psychology, that they're fit to run, they're fit to be in law enforcement and be fair and balanced and things like that. Because let me tell you something, as far as police are concerned, these are the kind of things that needs to happen. They need to detox them because there are many of them who knew, like I said, about the corruption, and many of them are complacent because they don't want to turn in their brothers in blue or whatever the case, or sisters in blue. So they became complacent and not really being law enforcing. And that needs to change. So, like I said, President Trump and various other people in the nation right now are doing police reforms. Now, I got something to say to you, police officers, whether you're sheriffs, state police of in any state, tribal, all this other stuff. I'm talking to each and every one of you right now. Listen, like I said before, and I'm going to say it again. You need to figure out who you're really serving. You're either going to serve the politicians up there, or you're going to serve the people. Because there's a saying that goes like this: one cannot have two masters. You need to make a decision to at least figure out which one you want to really serve. And be fair and things like that, because, like I said before, if you continue to just simply serve those who are in power, then there are going to be more people that are going to want you gone, out of the job. Because remember this, you need to remember this very well. Sure, you got the badge, sure, you got the gun and all the authority and so forth, but remember, you're not very powerful. You don't have the real power. The uniform that you wear does. And when that gets taken away, so does your power. The only thing you'll have left, if you really are powerful enough in yourself, is to have that power here, in your spirit and everything else. So remember this, police, if anything else. You need to decide who you want to serve. Because once you serve the people, believe me, it'll definitely help you be more clear of what the people want, how the people don't want to be served, and that way you don't have to obey just any order. Because I've seen so many people obeying just any order just because a politician or someone's giving you an order. There are certain orders that are not lawful. There are certain orders that are amoral, that has no morality to it. And for you police to back away and cower away and not to stay and fight for the lives of the people in your Seattle and various other cities that are getting torn down, you guys, those of you need to be fired. You guys are cowards. You guys are punks. You guys are pussies. Basically, is what it is. You guys, if you guys were real men and women behind that badge, you would have stayed in and fight despite your orders. You would have stayed in and fight and protected everybody that was there. Because that's what you see, when you put on that badge and when you decided to be a cop, it was to protect and serve. Protect and serve. And if you can't do that, you need to be removed. Or jail time. One of the two. But you can no longer be a police officer if you're not going to uphold that. So just keep that in mind, police officers, and law enforcement as the time goes along. Because you will be tried. You will be judged at some point. So you better make it a good one. You better make it to a point where you're going to be good. And like I said, it needs to be detoxed and replace newer people. That's all there is to it. And it'll also be good if you can have, like I said before, other people arrested too. Like the other Democratic Party dismantled, arrested, and everything else. Because let me put it like this. These corrupted, tyrannical politicians and that are Democratic, they're getting out of hand. They're so getting out of hand to a point where, like I said, they want to ruin everything. They want to ruin the cities. They want to have more power and everything else over the people. And those are the ones that are more on power trips than anything else, if anything. And then over the people and so forth. They are out of control. And so with these, but you see, here's another problem. These, like I said, these Democratic officials, politicians, they refuse to get help from Donald Trump because they want to destroy things. They want to show, they want more power, they want more control and everything else too. So at some point, Donald Trump is going to have to do something to do it for them. It's been too long since this whole crap with Chaz, and now this whole Chaz situation is starting to spread. The riots are spreading, the looting and all that has been spreading. Now that's not to put them in the same category as the peaceful protesters. Okay, the peaceful protesters are not in the same category. Okay, so don't put them in the same category as the peaceful protesters, because let's be honest here. So many of these people at Chaz have been terrorized and everything to a point where there was even at one point there was a family that got ganged up, got beat up, and then one of these people that were ganging them up was transgendered. And it was a transgender person who raped sodomized and raped the father of and the husband of the family, and the family were held down by other men, including the children, and the wife had to force them to watch as that transgendered individual rapes a man, a father and a husband. I mean, how demonically sick as shit is this? I mean, and that's what the politicians are allowing. That is what the Democratic politicians are allowing. You know, when you become a politician, when these people become politicians, they're supposed to have law, order, safety, and security. Even if you're tyrannical, I mean, even in communist countries as such, like China and everything, don't have that kind of mess like that. Sure, they could be tyrannical and so forth, but at least if you can provide law, if you can provide order, safety, and security, then the people are going to tolerate you at least. The people are going to, love you a little bit at least, if you can do something like that. Even though you may be putting in some fear in the people, but if you can at least have those 4 things covered, then it'll be fine. But if you are going to be tyrannical, you're going to be out of control, and you're going to be power hungry for power, profit, and control, and you can't even provide, like safety, security, law and order, then it's time for those individuals, it's time for these politicians, and it's time for y'all to be removed. Y'all need to go. It is time for the mayor of Minneapolis to be removed, the mayor of Seattle to be removed. All these politicians that are creating trouble all need to be removed. They all need to be removed. I'm sorry. They need to be removed. If you can't cover these basic things while being out of control and tyrannical, you got to go. I mean, hell, you got to go either way if you're tyrannical. But especially if you cannot provide law, order, safety, and security, then it's time for you guys to go. It's time to go. It's time for them to go, and it's up for us, the people, to rise up and say, no, you need to go. Whether it's you want to do it through a total recall like they did in California back in 2000, I believe, 3, and when they replaced Gray Davis with Arnold Schwarzenegger, people may want to think about how you guys could do a total recall like that, or find a way to overthrow them and things like that, or get rid of them. And the bottom line is, for you politicians out there like this, you got two choices. You can either stop this tyrannical behavior and start, getting law and order, safety, and security, or get yourself removed. And you got to get yourself removed either via recognition, getting voted out by force, or by force in other ways, getting arrested, or worse, death. Not saying that that you can die, but that possibility has happened. I mean, there's even a time where a mayor of Seattle, the home got invaded because of the situation that she allowed. All that's going to come back to you. And, all of you politicians out there that think you've got Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all these places under control for a very long time, you may have it for now. But eventually, just like anything else, just like what do I say this? You think you are Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, that creates the monster. And Frankenstein thought that he had the monster under control. And yet, when the monster started having his own mind and increases his intelligence and things like that, that's when the monster turned on him and eventually killed him and destroyed him. That's what's going to happen with you guys. That's what's going to happen with the people, with the politicians, is that the Black Lives Matter and Antifa and various other groups that you created are going to turn against you eventually. Because only for so much can you control people like this. And especially the fact that you created them in a way to create trouble and everything else too, that's exactly what they're going to do. See, eventually the creator will get destroyed by the creation that it creates if it's not careful. See, and with that being said, with politicians like Barack Obama and various other people, especially those who are getting themselves in trouble, especially those who are getting called to court, and that's why we're having this thing called Obamagate, because Obama has been, caught in many ways, from having our soldiers and men and women killed for certain operations that shouldn't have happened. And there are so many other things that he's signed up for, NDAA Act, which is the National Defense Authorization Act, which is the way to deem people as terrorists if they even have an opinion against him, like that. He has put a lot of things into law that were unconstitutional, that are unlawful, and on top of that, he's lied about so many things. He's caused a lot of people's lives, and I mean, the fact of the matter is that this guy has caused so many lies and has done so much deceit in so many ways that, I mean, it's unbelievable, and that's why we're having Obamagate. It has nothing to do with us being racism. I'm tired of people are saying that, oh, you're just doing it because you're hating black people. That's the type of card they love to play. And people keep getting played, getting bamboozled so much about this. This man does not care about you black people. He does not care about you white people. He doesn't care about anybody other than himself and the elites that he is, that he serves and works with and so forth. He really doesn't. And as far as like I said with him, and on top of that, he's even lied and so forth and caused other people their lives, from Joan Rivers and various things, because let's be honest, Barack Obama's wife is actually a nigga. Based practically this, she was once a man by the name of Michael Loving Robinson. Basically, that's who Michelle Obama is. A transsexual. A transgender person. Yep, exactly. Transgendered. Have you noticed why you never seen the pregnant pictures of Michelle Obama? Oh yeah, that's because she never has and never will. Oh yeah, and those kids of theirs, not even theirs. They were adopted, and they paid the parents, the real parents of the kids, that the two daughters were the daughters of the real parents that they paid off, that were friends of Barack Obama, or AKA Barry Soetoro. And not to mention the fact that Barack Obama wasn't born here in the United States. That was already well established, but it seems like still nobody wanted to believe that. And yet he was from Kenya. His own brother now is even exposing him. His own older brother from Kenya is exposing his own brother, Barack, or Barry, if you can believe that. And then on top of that, then he even had like cards that was saying foreign student when he was from Indonesia, when he went to Hawaii college. And on top of that, he's a homosexual too. An actual homosexual who I thought was bi, until of course many people have said years ago that Michelle Obama was a tranny, but now there's proof to that. There has been proof all over the internet now that she's transgendered, meaning Michelle Obama, Michelle Michael Obama, that is. See, so of all the lies, let me put it like this: the fact that he had to lie so much and try to save face, and I don't have a problem. Here's my thing. Before I continue on, I don't have a problem with LGBT. Okay, I don't have a problem with gay, lesbian, transsexual, whatever. I don't have an issue. Matter of fact, I have clients who are into LGBTQ community, so I don't want to hear people coming at me and or Rainbow for that matter, saying that we're racist or we're prejudiced against LGBT community, because we're not. Okay? Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm calling out, just like I'm doing with black folks, just like I'm doing with white, I'm calling out a bunch of bullshit that y'all are doing. And that includes the LGBT community. So don't be calling around telling me that I'm gay bashing and all this other stuff, because I'm not. I'm calling y'all and y'all bullshit is what I'm doing. That's what I'm really doing. And that could be anybody. Nothing's out of bounds with me. Okay? So what I'm saying here is that the fact that Barack Obama or Barry Soetoro had to lie about his past, had to lie to the fact that he was saying that he was straight, but he was actually homosexual, and then on top of that he was actually Muslim. He was not Christian. I mean, there have been several times where there was caught that he said Muslim on accident, but it was really he said Christian, but he actually really said Muslim as a Freudian slip. There were times where he actually called Michelle by the name of Michelle, by actually calling him Michael a couple times as a Freudian slip. Those Freudian slips mean something, guys. Despite what many people in the psychology community may want to believe about him and may know about him and things like that, those Freudian slips mean something. They do. And on top of that, like I said, the children were not theirs, obviously. And on top of that, Michelle, has the same markings as Michael in his old pictures when Michael was a man. And on top of that, the shoulders are broad. There's just so much that did not look right. But it's been exposed by various YouTubers and various other people now. So the gig is up. And yet the media like to still want to protect Obama like he was a good father and a good husband and all this other stuff. The media is really a big part of the problem. And that needs to be fixed too. They need to be also to detox the media. They need to go out of business or something and replace it with something new. Because, I mean, if you're good, see, my problem is, I would not have had an issue with Barack Obama if he would have just came out and said, listen, I'm homosexual. He says I'm a homosexual. This is this was once a man. Now that's a lady. It's transgender. This is my wife, and we have adopted his two beautiful daughters. This should not still disqualify me from me being president or something like that. If you would have came out and said it from the beginning, then it would have been like, okay, all right, different but cool, and that would be the end of it. Life would have moved on. But he didn't do that. He did a lot of deception and lies. Now, I don't need to know everything about your business. That's not what I don't care. I don't care to learn about your business. What I do care is that you at least have some level of transparency. And he didn't do that. He did not have that kind of transparency about his faith, about his family life, about his life, or anything like that. There were so many other holes that were there. Now it's all being covered up. Now it's being, covered meaning now it's being exposed. The holes in it and so forth. So, and on top of that, like I say, he's lied about the Benghazi situation. He's even put the general in prison. He's colluded with various countries. He's created ISIS. He has done so much damage to our nation and to the world. So he needs to be brought to justice. And Hillary Clinton, oh, don't mean to get me started on her. Oh, another thing, too. They're all into pedophilia, too. I just thought I'd let you know that, too. They're all a bunch of pedophiles. They're all a bunch of pedophiles, child execution, adrenaline chrome, drinking, pedophiles. That's what they are. And they needed to pay for their crimes for that. That's why many of the people are from Hollywood and all the time, from Tom Hanks, all the degenerates, have all got arrested because due to pedophilia. Hell, from even some of the sources that I've heard, some of them have even died and have got replaced with clones and robotoids and all this other stuff. And then we got Joe Biden, good Lord. This guy, you can't be serious. He's part of the problem, too. And Barack Obama, oh, yeah, that's right. He was ordering hot dogs, about $15,000 worth of hot dogs. Who the fuck pays $15,000 full of hot dogs? You know what that really means? Little boys. Little boys. That's what it means. And I believe, let me see, if I'm not mistaken, burgers or something like that, it means girls or something. Yeah, I may have to refresh on that part. But I do know that pizza, when they talk about spending thousands of dollars on pizza, they're talking about children. You see, here's what I'm telling you. You people, basically, the real opposing opposition needs to go and arrest and really put these people in jail, Guantanamo Bay, whatever. Because I guarantee you right now, there are a lot of people, a lot of minorities from the Hispanics, blacks, and all of them have been arrested for not only using codes and so forth, because I know you've arrested a lot of people that way, and on top of that, even arrested people with crimes that they actually did not commit, but didn't even fit the crimes that they were committing. Like for instance, just recently I was hanging out at a park, and there was this gentleman who was with his two daughters, and he just basically got out of prison for 23 years due to the fact that they charged him for drug trafficking. But the reality was that he wasn't trafficking any drugs. The drugs that he already was possessed of, that he had possession of, was already his drugs. These were his drugs that he bought and collected himself. But yet, they did not charge him for drug possessions of any kind. They charged him for drug trafficking. That's the kind of crap that I'm talking about that needs to be reformed. The police needs to be reformed, and so does the judicial system. That needs to be reformed too. Okay? That needs to be reformed as well. Because that's one of the reasons why these Democrats and politicians and all these get away with so much, was because all these systems have already been infiltrated to serve them in their favors, the deep state and so forth. And so, with that being said, regarding Barack Obama, like I said, a man doesn't care about black people, doesn't care about whites or anything like that. Husband/wife is transgendered, and like I said, the daughters were adopted, but they weren't really theirs. It's even gotten to a point where one celebrity lost her life because she exposed the truth before it was even exposed, meaning Joan Rivers. Now, granted, I'm not a big fan of her at all, of Joan Rivers. I'm not a fan of what she stands for, about the gossip and everything else too, but the fact that she revealed that Obama was gay on TMZ, national television, and then even exposed Michelle Obama as transgendered, then 2 weeks later, she died in the hospital. Now, a lot of people would like to say, well, Bear, she's old. She could have been died. She wasn't in good health and everything. Yeah, okay, and I can guarantee, and I can agree with you on certain cases. But here's my point: why die at a hospital? What really happened at the hospital? She went to the hospital, and then all of a sudden she's dead. Come on now, that's suspect. That's suspect. That is suspect because the fact that she ran her mouth, and then 2 weeks later she's dead. Somebody killed her. Somebody must have poisoned, the IV with some kind of a poison, and it went to her veins, and she died, or something like that. But somebody killed her. Some foul play happened, because of that. And so now, basically, the man needs to go down. Barack Obama needs to go down. And for all the white people out there, let me say something here. And I'm going to talk to y'all right now. Of all the things that, like I said, I'm not prejudiced against anybody, but I'm going to talk to a bunch of white people out there who have this mentality of white privilege, okay? Because let me put it like this. There are a lot of there are various black people that you like to have around you that are socially engineered. And the reason why you like to be around socially engineered black people so much, or black comedians that like to make you guys feel good, is so that you guys will not feel responsible for your ancestors doing some stupid shit to other groups of people, from blacks, natives, Hispanics, all that. But you know what? Here's the idea. The thing about it is that the white privilege that you guys like to have so much, it was because you were allowed to have the white privilege. It wasn't really yours to begin with. It never really truly was yours. That white privilege actually came from people who are higher up and from other types of secret societies that created that for you, so you can be like the dogs that guard the sheep, to keep the sheep in line. Basically, like the sheep of other people and things like that. The poor, different other types of people. So you guys are not as privileged as you like to think. So you guys need to stop acting like you're so privileged, because you're not. Let me turn on this light here. It's getting kind of dark here. Hold on for a second. All right. So anyways, as I was telling you, the thing about it is that so many, like I say, you guys need to stop acting like you guys privileged, because basically you guys are no longer becoming privileged. You guys are becoming everyone else. You guys are only allowed to have white privilege. And on top of that, scientifically, white people are dying out of this planet. You guys are going through an extinction right now. You guys are becoming an endangered species. And I'm not just talking about just people in America. I'm talking about people in Europe and various other things too. White people are not producing as much like they used to, and they're dying more than they used to. So how privileged do you guys feel now that you are scientifically are dying, and that the people, the deep state, don't want your DNA? They want melanated DNA, so that they can keep themselves alive at some point, so they can be able to find a way to control the world through melanated people, through melanated DNAs and so forth. They don't want your DNA. How does that make you feel? I want you all to think about that. I want you all to think about that, to see who really cares for you, who doesn't. Because you're really not as privileged as you like to make yourself out to be. And you need to start holding yourselves more accountable for your actions, holding more white people more accountable for their actions. That's the idea. So I just want to really touch base upon that, because of the fact that I'm so tired of so many people who are saying you're being prejudiced if you say this. No, I'm just calling you out as it is. I'm just speaking the facts. I'm speaking the truth. Whether you like it or not, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. You need to deal with it and heal from this and take responsibility and own up to it. And speaking of that, as far as Black Lives Matter and black people are concerned, let me tell you something, black folks, before I move forward. Your ancestors were slaves, and that was horrible. I know, we have our ancestors that are slaves. But let's be honest here, if we really want to get more critical. We're not the only ones that were enslaved, okay? Every human being, every race, every creed or whatever of humans on this planet throughout humankind have had slavery. From Christians, Muslims, Romans, Greeks, Egyptians, Cretans. Everybody had been slaves. So let's get over ourselves already. Let's get over ourselves. And not to mention the fact that you guys are going around tearing down buildings and tearing down statues and all that. First of all, what good is it to tear down statues? Yes, I know these are historical figures that you don't like, that are corrupted and so forth. Well, guess what? A lot of other people today are corrupted. You guys are not any better. And yet you're tearing down statues and monuments that hold dear to certain people, to our history. Whether you like it or not, this is part of our history. And you're tearing things down thinking, oh, this is bad. We need to tear things down because we're offended by it. Yet, why aren't you guys fighting for something that really matters? Why aren't you fighting for something that really matters? Like, why aren't you not fighting to stop the chemtrails from going to the skies? Why aren't you fighting against some real stuff, against mandated vaccinations? Or so-called mandated vaccinations? That's not really going to happen anymore. That's from some of the sources that I read. And on top of that, why aren't you not fighting to take your mask off? Yeah, I still see you guys still out, looting and doing all kinds of shit. Wear a mask off, yelling, wear a mask on and everything. What kind of foolishness is this? You guys are still being programmed. And you guys are out there doing all kinds of stuff, and yet you guys still have masks on. Because, let's be honest, it's not just the fact that you guys are really afraid of the viruses and so forth, but I'm not even surprised if you guys are such cowards that you don't want to show your own face so your identity could be revealed. Because Donald Trump and various other lawmakers are now going to start punishing people for vandalizing and various other things. Hiding behind masks like that. What a damn shame. It's a shame. It really is a shame. It's a fucking shame. And so what I'm saying here, guys, is that we need to, heal from this, transcend it, transmute it, or even integrate some of our shadows. Because that's one of the key ways of us really liberating ourselves is to start from within ourselves, not to try to go out and do this so much, or do this so much on all this. Because all it's going to do is lead you to more problems, more tyranny, more aggression, and everything else that goes with it. And going back to Obama, like I said before, like I said, supposedly the first black president of the United States, yet black people were dying more times from the cops than the more days at the Jim Crow times. What kind of bullshit is that? We had the Baltimore riots happened under Obama's watch. All these young men from Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown and Freddie Gray and all them guys, even though some of them are criminals, some of them were innocent, well, not innocent, but some of them were not as bad, but many of them have all been killed due to his administration. And when he had enough nerve to say, oh yeah, well, if a woman, gets scared of me, or a woman, hides her purse, that was me. Man, come on, Brock. Seriously? You never experienced anything like that in your life. You know nothing about black struggles. Nigga, please. Fuck that. Fuck you, okay? You know nothing about black struggles. All you know most of all your life is white privilege. The only difference is that you are white privilege because your mom was white, your dad was black from Kenya, and basically you were raised in Indonesia, and not to mention the fact is that, like I said before, you have your gay friends or gay people that you had sex with and everything killed. And not to mention, too, that you, from various sources, you are a grandson of Adolf Hitler. Whoops, I just broke the fourth wall. Seriously. All I gotta say for you, Barack or Barry, is I hope you, when all said and done, that you enjoy yourself in Guantanamo Bay. And you know what? Michelle needs to go with you. Arrest her too and put her next to you. Hell with it. Y'all belong together anyway. You guys have been good together. Stay together in jail too. Stay in the same cell. Fuck it. It is what it is. Anyways, so going now that I've done with the police, I'm done with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and like I said before, as far as politicians are concerned, they need to be removed. All these tyrannical politicians need to be removed, and we need to clean it up. And if it needs to be, disband the whole freaking Democratic Party. They're no good. dismantle them all. Let's have some more new parties to rise up. New parties in America to rise up. There are more parties. Let them rise up. Why not? I think it'll be good for America in general. And Black Lives Matter and Antifa, arrest them too. Get rid of them. We don't need them around. They're nothing but trouble. And take Chad's people out, take all these other people out trying to form their own countries. If they don't want to be part of America, they can leave of it or get the fuck out. Okay? If they don't love America, they can get the fuck out and go somewhere else. Because I'm so tired of people like that think that they can run America. Let me put it like this. I have had family who served in the military. And I'll be damned if I'm going to stand by and not say anything and not help to, help America, at least stay solid or at least stay around for a little bit longer as America. If I don't speak up now, then I have no business calling myself a shaman, a healer, a Reiki master, nothing like that. Okay? So that's why I'm speaking out about this. Hold on, I'm going to get me some drink. Hold on. My throat's getting dry again. Ooh. Anyway, speaking of that, now, like I said before, now that I'm done with talking about Obama and the politicians and so forth that we all need to get rid of, let's talk about the love and light Psyop, the New Age movement and that kind of deal. Rainbow and I have been teaching this thing called psychic protection for quite some time. Actually, for the last, I would say, several years. And it was kind of funny because we weren't even thinking about teaching psychic protection as part of our course or thing or something like that. We were planning on teaching, like healing and things like that, but we never really had psychic protection courses. And why am I bringing up psychic protection courses? I'll get to that in a second. So as we are, developing psychic protection, teaching people how to protect themselves, because many people, especially around where we live and up north, have came and asked us to help them with their problems with psychic attacks and things like that, because there are such things as people with that do psychic attacks and things like that. And so, of course, we would then help them out, but then we were also, write notes and how we're going to teach people how to protect themselves and things like that. And then throughout the years, we started writing more notes and more notes and more notes. We were like, oh my God, we can make a curriculum out of this. And that's when Rainbow and I have made a decision that we're going to make a curriculum and see how we can test it out and things like that. We've been through many tests for many different mini courses and things like that. And of course, when we started really advertising psychic protection on the full front, we've had various metaphysical community and various people in the community be like, what? That can't be true. That's not right. No, we don't like this. We don't like that. Or we talk about black magic. We talk about sorcery and mind control and things like that goes along with the psychic protection, how you can protect yourself. We've got a lot of people within the metaphysical community that get really offended by saying, well, I don't need this protection. Or, it doesn't happen in my reality. And all this other shit that we get attacked with. Or I even had some people be like, well, don't talk about this kind of stuff like politics or black magic and everything, because you're going to lose clients, or you're going to lose a lot of people that don't want to be with you because they're not comfortable with it. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? We were chosen that way. We were chosen to do this for a reason, and now I know why. Because the love and light psyop was simply that. It was a psyop. It was a metaphysical psyop that were run by Zionists and people within the CIA to really, this is what it was meant to do. It was meant to do mind control, and it was designed to pacify, distract, confuse, and misinform those within the New Age community, within the metaphysical community. See, the modern metaphysical community has been sabotaged in great lengths. However, those who really know what's going on, who actually dug deep and actually went to the roots of the New Age movement from different cultures, really have a better grasp of reality and have a better grasp of what this is really all about than those who just simply fell into it and been doing it for not so long and yet have no experience, no discipline, no real control over their psychic abilities or any abilities that they may have developed. You see? And so many of them would like to say, oh, love and light only, love and light only. Don't talk about the negative. Don't talk about only, think about the good stuff, not the negative. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. There are negatives out there. There are negative forces, there are negative people, there are negatives out there. You have to face it. This is a 3D world we're still living in, even though, yes, we are going up to the fifth dimension. But the bottom line is, we still have to face some facts that are in the physical. But that's what the metaphysical community have been programmed not to focus on that. Have been programmed to only focus on the love and light, so you guys will not rise up and actually use your metaphysical abilities, use your gifts to really bring down the problem or bring these people down. Because they're afraid. They're afraid of the fact that you rise up your psychic abilities, then you can easily beat them. Because they have psychics that work with them and for them and things like that do remote viewing and doing other stuff. But yet, they can pretty much have them do whatever they want. They can do black magic. They can control weather and do all kinds of stuff. And yet, they like to create something so you like to pacify you so that you don't have to do the same thing what they're doing. And so, basically, I find that very funny where I have a bunch of these people be saying online, and those are, like I said, other healers, other metaphysicians who are saying, well, that's not in my reality, these psychic protection. Why are you advertising this for? And yet no one else attacks us. Everybody's like, oh, cool. From Christians to various other people in religions that are not within the metaphysical community that are saying, oh, wow, that's cool. That's a good thing to hear and all this. We get more now, granted, not all of the Christians and various other people like it too. They think, we're of the devil and all this other stuff, but you know how that goes. But metaphysical community, you would think they would know better, right? But they don't. Because, like I said before, they've been Psyop, they've been programmed to believe in this fluffy, airy-fairy shit and not necessarily look at what's going on in the physical world in a way that's really supposed to be seen. And so basically what it all boils down to is that, if that was really the truth, the fact that many of y'all would say, oh, well, that's not in my reality, or this is fake, or this is BS, or whatever, then why do you all have to announce it so much? Why do you have to come and attack and say, that's not my reality? If it doesn't apply to you, then let it apply. Then don't have to come on, don't have to say anything. But the fact that many of y'all have to say, it doesn't apply to me, so much to a point where you get blue in the face, you guys could say that all you want to make yourself feel better, but at the end of the day, the fact that you guys even have to go out and say it in such anger, that means there's a trigger in you somewhere that got rattled. The fact that we put out psychic protection out there, if it rattles you, then there's something to it. There is something to it. And I'll give you a great example. Now, David Wilcock from DivineCosmos.com, it'll be good if you guys check him out, DivineCosmos.com. One of the key things that he did say about mainstream media is that they are good at performing mind control and doing all kinds of mind control, controlling you through fears, reporting various news that are fear-based and everything else too. He said his best. That is a really high form of black magic. Because remember, any kind of form of mind control and black magic is a form of a psychic attack. It's a psychic attack, and it's casting spells, and it's casting, thoughts, and planting spells, and planting everything into your thoughts and your consciousness. That's what the media has been doing, and they've been performing black magic by just simply from the anchor saying some stuff, and then put it out to into the world, and then other people buy into it and so forth. About the mask wearing and so forth. So let me tell y'all something here. Many of you like to say, well, it's not happening in my reality. Oh, just because some voodoo man may not attack you, you think that it's not happening in your reality. But wait a minute. But certain other things have already happened in your reality. You may think, what? What do you mean it happened in my reality? Like, for instance, if you guys are being manipulated by the news or being manipulated to believe certain things about viruses and things like that, and you believe what the news tell you, guess what? You've been cast black. Basically, you've been affected by black magic. You've been psychically attacked. You've been affected by black magic, and you've been bamboozled. You fell for the okie doke. If you wear a mask without questioning whether your constitutional rights are at stake or not, then you've been spell casted. Okay? You've been controlled. You've been mind controlled. If you are basically going around questioning people that doesn't fit the narrative that what you believe in, then guess what? You've been mind controlled. So don't come around and telling us that doesn't happen in your reality, because it's been happening in your reality, because you're a part of that reality that they're controlling. Okay? That's how it is. They're controlling you. You are part of that reality. It's happening in your reality because you're part of it. You're part of the pawns that you're being controlled. You've been psychically attacked. You've been spellbound. You fell for the okie doke. All these different things that if you follow what the media is telling you, you've been mind controlled. You've been psychically attacked. Like I said, don't come around telling us that it doesn't happen in your reality, because it's been happening in your reality. You guys just didn't know it. That's how much control you guys don't have in yourselves. That's how much control you don't have in your abilities. Because if that was the case, you'd be where they're at, not the other way around. Maybe the fact you guys have a problem with our psychic protection course is not just because of the fact that we talk about the negatives so much. It's because what we talk about is reality, the real deal. We're more real about this. That is the thing that you need to realize. You see, another thing too, maybe your powers are not as great as you guys think you are, because let's be honest, the fact that the police officer had to put a knee on a man's neck for a long, or at least on a groove in the head for a long periods of time, and making him look like he got killed, to a point where everyone is out rioting, everyone is out doing this, and everyone's out shaking up. That is a high form of black magic. That was ritualistic. These people knew how to do rituals better than you do. And so perhaps maybe y'all are not as powerful and you don't want to be exposed as such. Maybe that's the case. Now, like I said before, they know how to do rituals to a point where they're creating reality. Can you guys do the same thing with what you believe in? Doesn't matter what you believe in, they've already been doing it with their black magic, with their powers and things like that. And yet, you guys want to talk about love and light so much. Well, how's your love and light doing for us? What's your love and light really doing for this world? Sure, it's helping progress the world along a little bit, I must admit. But we can do better. And one of the best ways to really wake up from that, and that's what you guys need. You guys need to wake up, first and foremost, and wake up even wider than you've ever been. If your third eye is really activated, you would have seen all this. You would have seen pretty much what I've seen, and even better. But you didn't. I've seen it. Rainbow's seen it. Various people see it. I know there's more of you out there that haven't been awakened yet, to the fullest. It's time for you to wake up and trust yourselves. Trust your own intuition. Trust your own ability. But in order for you to do all this, you need to really dig deep within your own shadows, because really, the reason why you don't want to see the ills of the world is because you don't want to see the shadows, the ills within yourselves. That's what the real problem really is. In order to do that, you need to heal yourself to the fullest, or otherwise you'll never really be able to really work and heal the world and work on yourselves, or heal yourself and others the way that you believe that you do. And I do say that belief in a strong way, because it's been a belief, but it's not really a knowing. It's not really an ownership to it. There's a certain level that you must know. There's a certain level that then you must start owning up to it. You're just thinking right now. You're just believing, but you're not owning it. You don't know it. So that's why the psychic protection bothers you so much. It's because there's a lot of stuff, and maybe you need to look at yourself about. Because y'all been psychically attacked and didn't even know it. In many multiple ways. Manipulated in all kinds of ways. You guys have not mastered yourselves like you guys think you have. Or otherwise, you wouldn't be in a position, you wouldn't be out wearing masks like everyone else, you wouldn't be programmed like everyone else. Because truth is, you're not everyone else. And yet you're still trying to fit in. That's programmed there too. And, a lot of us in general need to stop watching television so much. Stop watching the mainstream media. Because television is telling lies to your vision, according to this one YouTuber, Ralph Smart. You should also check him out, Ralph Smart. Telling lies to your vision. It's time that we start to really dig deep within ourselves get the red pill and take the red pill rather than the blue pill, and just start really digging in within ourselves. And then once in a while, once we master ourselves, once we get to ourselves a certain level of healing, transmutation, transformation, integration, and things like that, then we can start telling our own vision. We need to start telling our own vision. That's one of the best ways we can really help change the world in a very powerful manner. But in order to do that, though, of all the things that you've learned right now in the modern day, it's not good enough. You need to go down deeper sometimes to the ancient ways of how things are done. That's how you're really going to get the source, and that's how you'll be able to integrate what you've already learned in the modern day, but also integrate the ancient way, so that way you can actually get it together and then at some point even maybe make your own. And for those who claim that they don't need psychic protection and so forth, are usually the ones that do need it the most. And so it is also very good to protect yourself, but like I said before, our psychic protection doesn't just talk about just protecting yourself. There's more elements to it than that. But in order to do that, though, you need to actually come to us and actually sign up for our Patreon. Patreon.com/Bear Rainbow Shamanic Healers. Patreon.com/Bear and Rainbow Shamanic Healers. And that's only $5 a month, and you can learn a little bit of nuggets about psychic protection, healing, and clearings, and various other things that we're not going to put out in the public. Because there's just certain things that the public should not know unless someone actually pays. So that's the idea. So that's what I'm getting at here. The love and light is a psyop. So if you really want to have real love and light, one of the key things you must learn how to do is integrate and is learn to deal with your shadow. Whether you want to clear certain things out of you, transmute it, integrate it. It needs to be healed and transcended in any way. Well, otherwise, if you don't heal and transcend your shadow, then the love and light is not going to work. I'm telling you one of the big secrets here to how to really make your love and light more effective. Dealing with your shadow is one of the key ways of doing it. So you might as well learn the ways of a psychic protection, because learning psychic protection is going to make you guys even better in healing and looking at the things in the way that needs to be looked at. But even once you see this in the negative or feel the negative, whatever, you could turn it around and transmute it and create something better for yourselves and those around you. That's the idea. So all this fear that you guys are having, you need to transmute this fear. You need to transcend it. You need to either integrate something or you need to heal it. But one of these things, you need to do something about it and heal it and transcend it. Because all those fears and programmings and everything are what's keeping you under control. And mind control is a form of black magic. But you can break from that. Just like any spell, it can be broken. You just have to know that you just have to recognize there's a problem in order for you to solve it. So, all right. Anyways, I'm going to get going in about a bit because it's getting late and I need to get out of the office, head home, and let Rainbow know what's going on a little bit. Yeah, because she has been calling and texting me and things like that. But in any event, I really want to definitely touch base upon this because this has gone on for too long, this whole craziness, and somebody needs to speak out about this. And so what I want to tell each and every one of you right now, all of you out there, that I don't represent Black Lives Matter. I'm for human rights, and quite frankly, all lives matter for me. All lives matter. So let's get that out of the bag. Another thing, too, that I want to let you know that the Black Lives Matter people don't represent me. They don't represent me, and I don't represent them. And you should stop supporting them. You should stop. And I'm black, and along with other mixes, of Hispanic and Native. I'm telling you, too, as a human being, as a person, stop funding them. Don't support them. Support those protesters that are peaceful. There are grassroots organizations that you can, work with. There's You can work with grassroots, organizations within your community that are actually owned by grassroots people and movements. If you see something that's been sponsored by bigger corporations, you may want to steer clear from that. Because chances are there's an agenda behind their funding, just like there's an agenda with George Soros funding Black Lives Matter and Antifa and so forth. So if you want to start funding and start working on something, start going with the grassroots within your own local communities. Start from there. Start funding them. Start working with them. And while you're at it, the businesses that are burnt down and so forth, why don't you go to your community leaders or community, businessmen and so forth and figure out and ask, hey, how can we help you? How can we help rebuild your business? How can we help get more economic going? We stop waiting for the government and Donald Trump and them to do it. Yes, they'll eventually get the economic going, but we, the people, can do it ourselves too. We can get things running. We can get things moving. Start talking to your local people and local business people to see how else you can help, how else you can circulate and so forth. Whether you can advertise their businesses online or you want to market via your blogs or whatever. Now's the time to do this. Now's the time to build up. Despite all this foolishness out there. This is no time to cower. This is time to stand up and say, you know what? If you guys weren't going to fight guns, you at least can build up. If you built up, they're going to be frightened. And if they want to come back, prepare for it. Prepare to fight if need be. But you need to just at least support your local business people, support your local grassroots and things like that. That's one of the best ways you can get everything moving. Stop supporting Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not going to get you anywhere. And if you keep supporting that, your life will not matter, and you're only going to be part of the problem. Let's be part of the solutions. Let's be part of the solution. And like I said, and then all these protesters that you're funding, be very careful about these protesters because you never know where their monies are going. So if I were you, I would not really fund the protesters. I will stop funding these protesters and stop funding Black Lives Matter and just start funding your local communities, start funding your grassroots movement that you know are grassroots, that are known, that are owned by the people that actually are starting to, and that you know that the money is going to actually go into. Not these politicians, not these lobbyists, not all these other people like that, but to those people themselves, and then of course, ask for their accountability, ask for the receipts, hold them accountable for what they say what they're going to do with their money. It's time to hold people accountable. That's one of the best ways that we can really run this country a better way, is by actually investing in grassroots. And if you need to be investing in your own businesses or start a business on your own. Start, finding a business either through network marketing and or try to create a business that you like. Or if you don't have a business of your own, at least help those who started their own business and that got their business burned down during the riots and so forth and the looting. We can rebuild. All we need to do is know that we can rebuild from within first, and then we can build out throughout. All right, then. I'm going to get going. I've talked long enough. I just wanted to really touch base and really say what I needed to say because I've been waiting a good while to say it, and I got a chance to say it. So, in any event, if you have any questions or anything, go to, like I said, go to bearrainbow.com and, ask us questions. And, like I said, join our Patreon for psychic protection and various other healing secrets and so forth. Little nuggets about it that are really deeper and private. Go to patreon.com/bearrainbow shamanic healers. You can start as little as $5 a month. I mean, come on. You guys spend coffee at Starbucks more than with a Starbucks Grand Latte or whatever than you do with this. I mean, this will be a cheaper investment monthly. What do you have to lose? All right, now. I'll get going. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys later. Healing is all that is.